Hi everyone, welcome back to the BrainFit show. So this is the show where we talk about all things brain fitness, address some of the biggest myths surrounding the human brain, and help you in your quest to build the best learning brain. Joining me, Ian, today are my co-host Ellie.
Hi, Ian.
And BrainFit's founder and director, Cheryl.
Hello, Ellie.
Alright, so today we have a big topic on our hands. Okay, so when parents first come into us, we usually pass them a sheet asking them to list maybe 3 or 5 things that they want to see the most improvement in. So last week we talked about the most common thing we've seen, which is
Attention
problems, correct. So apart from attention, there's something that we also see quite a lot, which is motivation, right?
Yeah.
So
A lack of motivation.
yes, a lack of motivation. How do I get my child to be interested in studying, to be more committed to their CCA?
Yeah.
All sorts of things, right?
Yeah, parents always complain, right? That they always have to nag at the child to do their homework, and once they step out of the room, the kid is just doing something else, and then they have to nag again.
Yeah.
And as a parent, I can tell you, every parent will wish for a child that has that internal drive, so that the parents don't have to come and nag and nag. But we nag because they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. So it's a big issue. It would be very helpful if we can shed some light on this.
So it's quite an abstract issue as well, right? Because motivation, there is extrinsic, which I'm sure most people listening would know is to do with rewards and stuff like that. But I mean, there's only so far that extrinsic motivation can take you, right? Because let's say for now, my child's P6. Like if I get him some Roblox money, it works for him. But next time when he's 15, 16, what if he's no longer interested in that?
Yeah, I think that's one concern as well. Parents are, they are worried that the child is only motivated by extrinsic, right?
I mean, there is a role for extrinsic motivators though. So I think in absence of intrinsic, I think there is a role there that we can use it, but it should be treated like really as a kind of a temporary tool almost, where you don't have that internal drive, but using something external to lure them in. But in that process, then we will want to be
slowly building
building those skills. But let's take the deep dive and break down.
Right. So let's maybe simplify intrinsic into more actionable steps. All right. So I think we can break it down into 4 different components. So let's just call them the 4 M's so it can be more easily remembered. So we've got mastery, which is briefly about how to do with your achievement, how well you are, how proficient you are in something. We've also got mindset, which is
inner voice.
Inner voice, correct. Thank you. We've got meaning. So meaning is
the purpose.
Meaning
why
your purpose,
would
right? Yeah, exactly. Like why do I care
it?
about this? Why do I want to do this? And then lastly is management. Management is to do with autonomy. So how much control should parents, put into their child's life? How much oversee
And in turn, how much control the child has over his own task.
Exactly,
right?
exactly. So maybe let's start with the first one, mastery. Anybody?
Mastery is it's a big deal. I think a lot of things go back to mastery. I mean, if you go to the root of someone being excited to do something out of their own will, what's really driving that behavior? I mean, you're talking about neurochemistry, right? It's really dopamine. It's all the pleasure chemicals that has come out and flooding your brain, making you want to repeat the experience. It's like you play tennis, right? You hit the ball at the sweet spot. It's a beautiful sound. You want to replicate that again and again. So mastery, it's really, I feel, right, at the core, the beginning spark. And it's actually a biochemistry discussion, right? At the biological level, we have the chemicals that's now driving it. You don't need external rewards. You don't need to dangle, I'll bring you to McDonald's, because you are having that pleasure already from achieving the task. So I think it's a big deal. And when there is a lack of motivation, I think one of the first things that would be helpful for parents to think about is the first M, which is there mastery? Is there a breakdown in that neurochemistry process?
Simple steps, right?
Yeah, and correct. And what is causing, like we are using tennis as an example. Why is tennis now? The child, for example, says, "I want to quit tennis." So why, right? So what is? There is no dopamine, right? I think we can kind of guess that there's nothing that's driving the child there, to want to, practice and all. And then is that coach not at the right level? Is it too hard? Are we not having, it's
so many different things.
Correct, that you have to then break down and see, is it eye-hand coordination that we need to improve with a little bit more? Is it flexibility? I don't know, motor planning, right? You're not able to get the instructions Yeah, so all these different skills that then lead on to mastery, which then drive the dopamine.
Yeah, so essentially, the skills have to be on par, right, with the activity, is it? And if it gets too challenging, then motivation will drop.
Yeah, so it's like effort. So I think that's a good point, Ellie, you brought up about the effort, right? I mean, it's got to be challenging enough. So let's say you're doing something that's absolutely easy, right? So you're going in, and it's just a piece of cake for you. There's not really going to drive a lot of dopamine release either, right? It's really when you put in the effort, and then the reward comes at you. You know
when
that
you're able to,
you're able to achieve it, right? Then that reward, the internal pleasure that is that's coming at you and making you feel like you did a great job.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it cannot just continuously do simple things, right? It's like asking an adult to do 1 + 1, 2 + 2.
Yeah.
There's no point in doing it.
Yeah, we can do it, but
exactly.
it's not going to make us feel very good.
Yeah, I think that's very relatable when it comes to like seeing all my students, right? Those who are stronger visually, they tend to really enjoy math. And so they keep practicing it, keep doing it because it feeds them that dopamine, right?
Yes.
So then they just get better.
Exactly.
And better.
And that's the beauty, right? Because now I have dopamine when I hit this sweet spot with my tennis, right? Coming back to the example. And then what do? I do more again. And then as I'm hitting, you're practicing already. So you get better and better. So that's where I think the gap begins to grow between the kids who can taste the pleasure of mastery and those who can't, because those who can will then want more math sheets, right? Give me more questions, Remember, all the brain training games as well, the kids are always motivated if they are able to achieve, and then they want more of that, right?
Right, and then consequently for the kids that struggle, they are more, they don't want to come to BrainFit, they don't even want to touch their apps, motivation is...
Yeah, so then it becomes very important that the coach steps in and then we scaffold, right? So the getting to the right level is so important, which is why, there's really no one size fit all kind of thing. Everybody is at different levels of our journey, of our performance, of our skills, proficiency. So I think in order to really solve this lack of mastery problem is to know the child, right? To know the child, and then to be able to give exercises at the right level, or your teaching at the right level as much as possible.
Right.
By the way,
yeah. Yes,
am I hogging?
No, please continue.
Should we talk about the 80-20 rule? The 80-20 rule will be important, right? So 80-20 rule is that, when you are able to do something, right? And you put in effort and you're able to get it about 80% right. 20% you're struggling. So that's the neuroscience kind of rule for optimum level of challenge that we're presenting to the child. So meaning, simple example, we are having a worksheet for the child. So the child is getting 10 upon 10, 10 upon 10, 10 upon 10. It's a bit too easy, right? So, we're not really stretching much. But if you are doing 50 upon 10, 5 upon 10, you're going to get demotivated. It's probably too hard. But when you have that sweet spot, when I can do pretty well, but there's that bit I need to stretch, so that's kind of a sweet spot for brain training, for improving a skill, but also relating to keeping motivational levels up so that the child wants to try and tackle that 20%. So I think that might be a quick tip. Yeah. So always play tennis with somebody 20% better than you. Means you can't keep to the same friends.
Okay, so all right, let's say now we've established this 80-20 with, let's say, our child. So, okay, let's use tennis again. Okay, let's say we're playing tennis and somehow magically they can find someone always 20% better than them. So what comes next? What stops the child from, losing interest at that point? So that's when the other things come in, such as mindset.
Yeah, mindset will be one of them. And I think mindset will be a bigger hindrance to having motivation from the onset. Like in even trying a task, right? Not so much of that if you're already doing it, you might lose motivation because the mindset change. Typically it doesn't, but the inertial, reaction or response with the task. And talk about what's your mindset.
Yeah, I think mindset is very important. It's like your lens, right? It's whether you're able to see obstacles as learning opportunities and whether you're able to see failures as feedback. right? Yeah. So you have your growth mindset, you have your fixed mindset. So growth mindset would be like, telling yourself that I can overcome this, I can improve. Whereas fixed mindset will be, this is just how I am. Yeah.
Nothing will change me. I'm the loser, right? I mean, that's really sad. But it's real. It's the real voices for some of our children, and we got to rewire that.
Right. So this is why I think positive affirmations from parents and teachers can be quite important, right? Let a child, I mean, there's room for criticizing as well, but I think in general at our center, the philosophy we use is we try and emphasize on this, positive reinforcement, so that at least the child realizes, oh, okay, I put in effort. Maybe I didn't get what I want, but it's the effort that counts after all, right?
And I think this point is really important because I think parents actually can play quite a big part here. I mean, if you don't have the skill set, right, like you don't have the eye-hand coordination for tennis, I mean, parents can train that. But for my set, I think parents and educators, people in the child's environment have a direct influence, because how does a child form a mindset? The inner voices, how does it get there in the first place? I mean, personally, I think there's a genetic component. I've got 2 girls. I mean, they have the same home environment, but they are quite different in their mindsets. One's a bit more fixed and one is a bit more, with growth mindset. So I think there's a bit of a genetic predisposition, but the environment we know is so important, because if we are saying to the child, oh, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? And then what's the inner voice going to be? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? Right? Because it's going to come from somewhere. So I think it's important for parents to understand that in this regard, we have a direct ability to feed the inner voice of the child, which then can influence motivation.
So in a way, I think parents need to manage their own expectations as well. Like they need to be able to know their child, know their skills and what they can't do yet.
Yeah.
Right.
Yet is a good word.
Yes, yet. So parents need to manage their own expectations and not to impose such high standards on their child in the beginning. Yeah. So they really need to be more of coaches at home. Yeah?
Yes. Observe. I mean, I think that's great. I mean, I think parenting is really more about a coaching role. You see where the child is, how can I stretch you, whatever areas, right? I mean, be it academic, sports, your moral character, you want to lead them somewhere. So then you are giving them stretch goals, but also creating success experience, right? Because that's
like that 80-20 you mentioned, right?
Exactly.
Like we still need that 80, the 20 also, but without the 80 in the first place, why would the child want to continue trying to push on, right?
Exactly. If I'm pushing something and it's not working, right? Yeah. And then why would I want to keep doing? I mean, adults wouldn't want to do it. Yeah. So mindsets are something they can directly influence. So think about what we're saying to our children, right? That would be a good advice.
Mm-hmm. So next up, closely tying into mindset is meaning. So this is a child's, or not let's say a child, let's say adults as well. So why am I putting in the effort? Let's say even if I'm good at, I don't know, math or something, it's not so hard for me. I have the 80-20, my mindset is there. I know I can get better, but why should I still continue to do this?
Why am I learning math?
Exactly, why am I learning math?
How is it going to apply to me in the future, right?
Right, exactly. So this is where meaning comes in, and it's quite important for that long-term sustainability.
Yes, very important. So I think at that point, then you will have the kids who have that natural interest, right? So that's your personal interest. Like kids who are interested in dinosaurs, they read all about it. Kids who have that natural interest in math. And often I think if there is no interest, parents often then at that point say that, oh, you're doing math now so that you can have this great job in the future and make a lot of money, right? So we know that those are probably too far-fetched for the kids, isn't it? So what is meaning really for a child? If you don't have real interest in math, so what is the immediate dangle that you immediate positive carrot that you can dangle in front of the child?
Having fun.
Yes, having fun, right? I mean, for the child, it's very simple. I mean, I do something to have fun. Yeah, sure, you tell me that I'm going to get a good job and have great money in the future, but
it's not directly relatable.
I don't think it's something that is going to push them to do that. Yeah, so it's having fun, right? So and then again, making things a little bit more accessible for the child. a little bit more, and celebrating the gains, right? That it becomes that I'm going to put in effort, although I don't have real great interest, but it's worthwhile because the meaning is that I get to spend time with my mom, and then we have this fun thing right at the end.
So this is where the extrinsic motivation comes in, right? Where we have to introduce rewards, put in the token reward system.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. That's. I think at this point, we can really use extrinsic motivators to create meaning, isn't it? To the point, because you don't have intrinsic. Let's say you don't have the inherent interest in that. But now I'm going to do math for your tokens, Teacher Ellie, right? I'm going to do extra questions, right, to get my extra tokens, and then my physical reward that I can trade for.
And that has been very successful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
the kids are really working hard like never before, and to just get those tokens, to just get like this plushie, for example.
yeah, and I think it's important also to note some parents are a bit concerned. I can understand that, we really don't want to rely too much on external material stuff to drive the child. So again, we should see that as more a temporary solution, because when I'm working towards getting that plushie, right, the tokens to get the plushie, I'm actually now practicing. Isn't it? And the more I practice, the more mastery, the more dopamine that's going to come out and push me along, right? And then it could become that this is just fun, this is meaningful for me, right?
Okay, so moving on from that, we then have management.
Yes.
So management.
Another big one.
Yes, another big one also. So this one is more to do with the
control
control
that the child has over their tasks, over their routines,
over their lives.
Right. So many different things. Maybe instead of starting with the child themselves, maybe we start with something that is more within our means. So let's say I'm a parent. As a parent, your own child. What kind of control do you exert them? To find the sweet spot.
It's a great question, Ian, and I still wonder sometimes as a parent if I'm getting it right. It's really a very fine balance between my voice and her voice, or their voices. I've got two girls, right? So it's hard. I will tell you, it's hard for the parent, and a lot of times as a mom, you think that they don't know them, they're not mature yet, they're not making right decisions, they don't really understand the consequences, right? And so I have to have a louder voice so that they can head in the right direction. Otherwise, with their little immature decisions, trouble is going to be brewing ahead. But okay, so here's where I think parents need to know that the way I parent, at least, I see it as a long journey. So what's my end point? So my end point really is that I think that I want to guide my child to a point where their executive function matures. So that will be, 20s, right? So I will be the executive function. I will be the seat of reason, right? Until that happens. But in the process, I actually don't want to be the source of reasoning. I want to guide them to reason. So because of that, my strategy is constantly on, not that I will make a decision for them, but how can I help them to come to the same decision as me, right? For every situation, right? So I don't want screen time, you want screen time. How do I then get you to the point where you see my point of why screen time is not good?
So this is where you present all the facts?
Yes, I do. I actually literally will make them read the papers on what screen time on entertainment, sites, your YouTubing, all social media, what's all that doing to your brain? So it's kind of like getting them to see my point rather than just saying that, look, no negotiation. Yeah, this is what I want you to do. Right? Because remember, one of the research that has come out is that if you are, okay, let's simplify it, right? If we are always telling the child, okay, be quiet, let mommy talk, right? I'll be talking, right? And suddenly one day when they hit secondary school, then we'll say, why are you not speaking up? You should be speaking up, right? So suddenly a child doesn't, from not speaking up, you're told, all your early life not to speak up. Now you're told that why are you not speaking up? So it doesn't work like that. The brain's like a muscle, right? It's whatever that we're nurturing and whatever that we are growing and developing and strengthening. So if we help them to make better decisions, or if I am making decisions for them, I fear that when the time comes, can they make their own decisions? right? So the process of, I mean, eventually they need to make their own decisions.
So it's grooming them, right, to make their own decisions when parents are not there.
Yes, exactly. So when my back is turned, when I'm not there, what kind of decisions are you going to make, right? I think that's important for me. So I think, that thought that what do you want your child to be eventually, right? And then that balance between the autonomy. Is it mommy saying that you go for this tuition class when the child really doesn't want to go? So for me, I'm very, very open. So we talk about the merits of going, and if the child says, but if I do this, I have no time, I'm not even interested, I don't want to go and do this. I'm very open, and I will say, okay, if I can see that the cons outweigh the pros, I'll say, let's stop it, right? But the child brings the evidence to me. Right, and then we discuss it in a very
so in that way, it's like compromise, right? So your child, has to listen to you on some fronts, but in some fronts also you have to listen to your own child as well, right?
Absolutely, I think it goes both ways, and if it's coaching, it goes both ways, right? I mean, we as coaches, we are like, okay, you like this, you don't like this, is not working for you. We have to take that into consideration, right? I mean, if you want the child to feel that whatever they say have meaning and meat and power. So because if we keep running them down, then they're just not going to even start thinking about that I have control. And that kills motivation when you don't have autonomy.
Right.
Isn't it?
I think so. Maybe we just sum up before we go on. So okay, motivation. Let's say it's this big bubble up here. So we've got extrinsic motivation here, which is your reward system, your external structures and whatnot. Then we've got our intrinsic motivation, which we broke down into the 4 steps. So we've got mastery first. So we mentioned the 80-20 rule. It's about finding the balance between what is manageable for the child, what's not too easy but not too challenging. So this 80-20 rule is a good guideline to try and help that. Then we've got mindset. So mindset is to do with the
growth
child.
Mindset
the growth
versus
mindset.
the fixed mindset.
Yeah. The voices talking to them.
So in this one, the 80-20 can be quite helpful also. Then we've got meaning. So meaning we've mentioned is
about having fun for the child.
About having fun for the child, correct. And maybe if the child is not having fun so far, this is where our extrinsic can come and kick in for a bit, to try and guide the child to build their own intrinsic motivation in the future.
Get more dopamine out as they practice.
Correct. Squeeze out the dopamine, which also links to management, which we just talked about, establishing the right control, just helping them build the right feedback loops.
Yes, and letting the child feel like, they have a say. Remember the story I was telling you about Isabel? So my daughter, right? And I remember one incident, I was getting the little sister, so she's the older one, her little sister to do something, and I was kind of like in the nagging mode. So my older daughter comes to me and said, I just want to give you some feedback on your parenting. I'm serious, those were her literal words. I said, what's wrong with my parenting? Right? And she said, it doesn't work. I said, what do you mean it doesn't work? So you said, don't tell Mei Mei too much to do that. She's already going to do it. I said, yeah, but she hasn't done it yet. She says, Mom, let me tell you, right, on many occasions, I have a plan already to do something. And just before I even start on the task, you come into the room and said, Isabel, remember to do that thing. And she tells me, as soon as I hear that, I almost think, I don't want to do it anymore. Because you said it, so I took away her autonomy. So she gave me a little parenting lesson that day, right? And it's mind-blowing a little bit for the parent to be told, that my strategy doesn't work. You think you're helping the child. I just wanted to remind you. But for the child, you're really stripping away my autonomy, right? So that, I thought, was a very good tip from my little girl, right? Lesson 101. So, give them some space, right? And let them enjoy the fact that they plan out the activity, they did it, and they finish it, with nobody helping them at all. And then they have the big dopamine rush. So when we step in, so autonomy, let them have it. I think that was my lesson.
So maybe we move on to the questions now?
Yes.
So we have 3 questions today. Not sure we have time for them, but anyway. So
we'll take 2.
Okay, we'll take 2 questions. All right. Okay, so first question. My child isn't motivated by physical rewards such as gifts and toys. How can I help him?
Okay, that's quite common. Have you seen that?
Yes, I've had a couple of students actually. Their rewards are not physical rewards, but more of spending time with their parents, even as simple as having dinner, right? Because we understand that parents are very busy. Kids are also very busy with tuition, enrichment lessons and all that. So they really just want to spend quality time with parents or friends, right?
So do they actually say that they don't prefer any of our rewards?
Yeah, there's nothing in the token cabinet that they are really looking to work for. Yeah, so it's really quality time with friends or even parents. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we live in a very busy world. That just reminds us we have to slow down. And we think that maybe, I mean, like for a parent, I think buying something is so much easier, right? And then making them happy. But actually, maybe what they want is just me being around and having that dinner. So I think rewards need not always be material.
That's true.
Yeah, but I think that parents really need to talk to their child and, find a compromise. Let's say the child is motivated by screen time, but that really works to, motivate the child to even finish the task, right? So what is an appropriate amount of screen time to drive motivation? Yeah, which brings us to our next question, right?
Coincidentally, can I use screen time as motivation for my child?
That's a good question. We talk about the negative effects of entertainment screen time, but can it be used as a motivator?
No, of course. I mean, it worked for me.
So I think the question is moderation, right? So just how much, right? Because if it works for the child, it drives them, it gives them the pleasure, then let them have that dopamine from the screen time, the external reward for now when they don't have intrinsic, right? But I think the big issue is then you can't go into screen time or entertainment screen time for the rest of the day. That will not be accepted. Right. So what kind of rules do you have? Minute for minute?
Of screen time, I think it should be proportionate to how difficult the child sees the task as. So if math is really difficult, so maybe an hour of revision on math, then half an hour on screen time perhaps. And then maybe...
Or even more generous, 1 hour. If it's really hard.
Yeah, it's really difficult.
Yeah.
But I think the reward, the screen time or any other reward should come immediately after finishing the task.
Yeah, that's important. You got to tie it together, isn't it? For the child to know that the effort that I'm putting in, I'm getting that reward. But it's not from the task, but it's actually from the immediate afterwards. So I think that timing, that's a good point. That's it's important that we do it together.
Yeah, because if it's at the end of the day, then they're not gonna feel that dopamine rush immediately, right? So then they will tend to forget that I deserve this reward because I did my homework in the morning.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very difficult to.
Correct, and then you don't have a positive association about math still. That means you did a lot of effort and then it was flat. Whereas if you had put in a lot of effort, it was like agonizing doing it, you didn't like it, but you did it anyway, and then immediately, boom, I have now got my dopamine rush from the whatever game that I'm playing, right? And so you associate the two things together. Closely, yeah. So I think that would be helpful. And of course, but we want to keep to the recommendations, not more than 2 hours of entertainment screen time. Anyone older than preschool years, anyone below preschool years, that's another thing altogether. Keep it down as much as we can. Yeah. Okay. Or let's have some time. We take the last one.
Okay, so last question. Do motivational camps actually help my child?
Good question. Do motivational camps help? I think yes and no. I think it really depends. And that's when I think if you have a motivational issue, take the 4 steps, the 4 M's that we talk about, and break down a little bit to see where it is first. If the issue is mastery, if your child is just really struggling with that subject or that activity, whatever it might be, right, then a motivation camp won't help. It's like if we attend a camp, right, and they tell us, imagine you can fly. Believe in yourself, you can fly. If you believe in it, you can do it, right? And then the child comes out, okay, I can do it. And then I come to real life, I don't have wings, I can't fly. Or I can do math, but I come to reality, I'm still struggling in math. So then it does not work.
I mean, maybe they're good in building mindset, right? In
yes,
that sense,
I think.
If the child has a mindset issue.
Yeah, correct. If the child has a mindset issue. But mindset alone is not enough, right? We still got to work on the other 3.
Yes, the other 3 apart from the mindset. Yeah, but I think motivational camps will be particularly useful if there's mastery, right? But there is a very, just not a positive way of thinking, right? And then you can rah-rah them in an environment that's really telling them that, hey, you can do it. We're going to do all these activities that show that you can do it to shift that mindset a bit. Then I think, yes, it can be quite useful. Yeah, so it's different strokes for different folks, I guess. Yeah, but so yes and no, it can be useful, and then depending on what the issue is.
Right, so once again, thank you to all the parents who, prior to this episode, sent in all their questions. In the future, if you would like to send in your own questions or find out more about BrainFit, where can you do so?
You can send in your questions at our website, okay, brainfit.com.sg, or
our email,
info@brainfit.com.sg, or follow us on any of our socials.
Yeah.
So yes, join us next time where we talk about
Personalized learning. I think we're going to go into that uniqueness of the human brain, isn't it?
Yeah.
And how it links to academic success.
Yes. So thank you once again for tuning in, and join us in our quest to help you build the
Best
learning
brain.
Bye-bye.